Hey everybody on YouTube. Today I thought I'd take a moment out to discuss another vintage electronic repair situation. Today we're going to discuss Eiaj reel-to-reel video machines and one of the most common problems why these Eiaj reel-to-reel video machines, color or black and white, will not work. You're going to notice that these machines always have what's called tracking problems. And the biggest problem with tracking on these units is the audio control head. This is the biggest problem on the Eiaj reel-to-reel video machines. Now, as I spoke in other videos, you need to repair and rebuild these machines. While this is one of the main things you do need to do to these reel-to-reel video machines to get them to play and get correct audio and to actually correct part of the tracking problem. The tracking problem with these machines is really common on these machines, and I discovered recently what the real reason was. Alright, what I'm holding in my hand here is an audio control head. Alright, here is a demonstration. Okay, this was taken out of a unit, an 8600 that I scrapped out. The video drum would sit in the center of this, and then it would wrap around these pins, and then your tape would come along, and it would come right across to the right, which is your audio control head. Alright, this is where it's located on all the Eiaj reel-to-reel machines. It's always in the same place, and the problem is it's always the same issue for why tracking on these machines would never be proper. When you're playing other Eiaj tapes on some machine that you get, you won't be able to get the tracking to lock up. A lot of times it's got to do with the audio control head being no good. Now I want to explain this to you so maybe you'll understand. Alright, I come across these Eiaj machines when I started breaking them apart and working on them and fixing all the solutions to these machines. I stumbled upon actually the audio control head, which is this. I don't know if you can tell, but this thing is brass and it's got two pickup protrusions on the top part of the tape and the bottom part of the tape. Top part of the tape is going to be the audio signal. The bottom part of the tape is going to be your control or your sync control for the video so you can get your tracking. It actually finds the tracking signal on the bottom of the tape when the tape was originally recorded, so the machine can adjust for that so you can get proper tracking with your tracking knob on the top of the machine. As you can see, this thing is brass. It was the most common one used on these machines. But what most people don't understand is this was a very poor audio control head. The reason for that is when they made these, they made them out of brass, but they didn't use what's called proper installation around the actual pickup contact. And when these things would wear out, they would actually bridge and touch the brass part of the actual control head, and it would cause like actually tracking problems and everything else. It was a very poor designed audio control tracking head because of the fact they didn't insulate it properly like they did with the newer one that they came out with. And of course it's a brass top, but it's a really piece of junk audio control head. This is on about 90% of the machines, and believe me, I've tore apart hundreds of these machines and they all had that same issue. Tracking was a nightmare on these machines because of the fact the audio control head is a very poor design. They used the same one from like early 1970s when they designed these machines, and they kept designing the same one until like the mid 70s. They came out, after they discovered the problem, they came out with a retooled or a redesigned audio control head that actually has the insulation on it. It's separated from the metal part of the actual control head and the actual pickups on the audio control head. This is a much better design. But anyways, if you take a look, this is the brass original one that was used on 90% of the machines. This is why your machines won't track properly. It's the number one problem. These are really bad. The design, they wear out, and once you get grooves in these things, they start touching each other, and you just can't get proper tracking out of these. So when I'm rebuilding an Eiaj reel-to-reel video machine, I always take the best parts and correct the issues, so I do not have a audio or tracking control problem. And the way I do that is basically I take the correct replacement and I replace it with the newer version of the audio control head. If you take a look at the picture here, it shows you the newer version of the audio control head. Okay, now, you know, as you can tell, it's a much better design. The audio control head, it's got insulation, black little separations, so it doesn't touch the metal part of it from the one contact to the metal framing part of it, which would ground out. They made sure to correct the problem on these, because those the audio and the audio control contacts must not be grounding out, which on the original head, it would ground out when the video head would get wore out. That was the biggest issue with this. So what they did is they corrected it with this newer head, and it does a fantastic job. But anyways, if you take a look at the following picture, you can see a much closer up look of the original head and what I'm talking about. The brass contact would actually, after the head would wear out, would actually start touching each other and grounding it out on both contacts. Okay, and you know, the reason is obvious. It was a very poor design, and this would really cause the machine to go crazy, especially with the tracking. And a lot of times the audio would be super loud because of this reason. So you might notice on a lot of reel-to-reel Eij reel-to-reel videotapes, the recording of the audio is quite loud, and that had a lot to do with these audio control heads. All right? Now, when you're setting an audio control head, when you're replacing it, first of all, you're probably wondering, where do I get these audio control heads? Well, you can get them off of newer Eij reel-to-reel video machines, but you don't want to buy video machines just to scrap them out to grab these little audio control heads. It's not worth it. It's too expensive. It's not worth your trouble and all that kind of stuff. Well, I found out that basically I had a place in California, believe it or not, who used to service audio reel-to-reel machines. And they used the exact same type of audio control heads on reel-to-reel audio machines. So I got a bunch of these from a service center about 15 years ago. And this is the exact audio control head as the reel-to-reel audio control head. There's no difference at all. I mean, it's the same type of pickup. It's half-inch tape, the whole type of thing. So I got them from a source where I got these better designed audio control heads to correct the problem. So basically all you need to do is you're going to notice you got the plate that it sits on. You got to screw 3 screws in 3 different positions to adjust the height. All right? You want the tape to protrude, okay, basically in the center of each pickup, on the bottom and on the top. You want to make sure the tape is in the center of both of those. So the actual pickup picks up the signal for the control track on the bottom and the audio track on the top. You want to make sure that the tape is perfectly center of those contacts. All right? And then you want to make sure you take a piece of tape and you make it nice and tight so you can make the adjustment to make sure you get it right. It's not very hard. You could do it in the machine, or you could do it after, if you're rebuilding a machine like I'm doing, and you already got the scanner head plate out of the machine itself. You can actually do it like I'm doing it now. But you want to make sure that that's perfectly center, and you replace it with a newer audio control head. They're silver. They got black separation, insulation in between the contacts, so when the head gets wore out, it doesn't ground out. So you want to make sure to replace it with a newer audio control head. It does the job. It will correct all the tracking and actually tracking errors, and your audio levels will actually level out. They won't be as loud. So you want to correct it with the replacement audio control head, like the one I've got right here. And once you line it up, okay, you put a videotape in, and you'll notice you can take a screwdriver to it, and if you're still not getting tracking errors, you keep the control tracking knob in the off position, and then you take a screwdriver to these points, and you can they got springs, so you can adjust the height of it, and you'll see that the tracking will lock up when you actually adjust these screws with the tracking in the off position. You need to replace the audio control head. This is very, very important. If you're rebuilding any of the Sony Eij reel-to-reel video machines, I'm telling you, this corrects the problem like you wouldn't even believe. This is one of the main issues. The audio control tracking head is a serious thing you need to change out, especially if you want perfectly working Eij reel-to-reel video machines. Again, you're going to notice the original audio control head is a piece of junk. They use these and many of the models, they just kept using the stock until they corrected the problem probably mid-73, mid-74, and they started using the better design audio control head. So make sure to try to find these. If you don't know how to do it, look at the service manual. It does show you how to set the height and how to replace the audio control head. So you want to keep that in consideration. So make sure you actually do that, and when you get this audio control head changed out and you get the alignment proper, you're going to find out it does wonders for tracking and playback problems, and your video transfers will look fantastic. So if you have any questions, get a hold of me. I hope you enjoyed this video.